You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Jiffy Pop. And don't forget your popcorn. Pop, 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 pop. Jiffy, 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 pop, 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 pop. Go and get a Pop-Tarts.
And the cold part about it is that they got a point. These women are running us. We not running them. And do you see how expensive this is?
See? It don't make me no difference. I still love you, Juana, man.
Man Screen, 8,000 fully equipped with a satellite dish and pizza maker.
He's a loving,
While good homesome Americans bring less and less of their paycheck home every 2 weeks.
And that's a long time.
So that's where that name comes from. My name, Tommy, is my mother who abandoned me in the trash. Her real name is Tommy Jean.
She actually treated me really mean.
Really?
I will talk about this because my mom liked her. My mom loved Oprah. So I got in the line for her autograph, to say just my mom loved me.
Yeah.
Right.
And she didn't even look up at me. She just, yeah. Next. And I went and stood in the corner, like my palms were literally sweating. And then a woman who knew me said, what's wrong with you? Oprah just iced me. She says, well, she knows who you are, man. Go back and get in the line. And she did it again.
What if the funniest man you'd never heard enough about was literally thrown away as a baby, left for dead behind a trash pile in 1960s Mississippi, only to rise from those ashes and become one of the most versatile entertainers in television history? Tommy Davidson's story isn't just remarkable. It's a testament to survival, talent, and the power of a mother's love that transcended race and circumstance. Born November 10, 1963, in Rolling Fork, Mississippi, Tommy Davidson's entry into this world was nothing short of horrific. At just 18 months old, his biological mother abandoned him in a pile of garbage behind a dumpster. Picture a toddler, bruised and unconscious, left to die among discarded waste.
She moved the trash out of there. I was there, laying there. I was unconscious.
Right.
Coma. Hadn't eaten who knows how long, had contusions in my skull.
Yeah.
Was left for dead.
Yeah.
And she took me to the hospital. And
Doctors weren't sure he'd survive the night, but fate had other plans. Barbara Jean Davidson, a white woman walking past an abandoned building in Greenville, Mississippi, noticed something unusual, a tiny foot sticking out from beneath a tire. She moved closer, pulled back the debris, and discovered baby Tommy clinging to life. Without hesitation, Barbara scooped him up and rushed him to the hospital. After months of recovery, she made a decision that would change both their lives forever. She adopted him.
Because a white woman actually found you and adopted you.
yeah, so it's better to play it in reverse because as I went on to find out more, that's how I formed.
Barbara took Tommy and her 2 biological children, both white, from Mississippi to Fort Collins, Colorado, then Wyoming, creating an unconventional family in an era when interracial adoption was virtually unheard of. For the first 5 years of his life, Tommy didn't know he was black. He thought he was just a brown one in his family's litter, like puppies or kittens came in different colors. Everything changed in 1968. The Davidson family moved to Washington, D.C. just 2 days after Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination. The nation was on fire, literally. Riots consumed the city. Tear gas filled the streets.
Right, well, because MLK just got shot.
Yeah, from King got shot. This is in
exactly.
68.
Right.
So the first thing I saw was fires, tear gas, all the stuff we just saw during the pandemic, which makes this kind of a really good time to talk about this stuff because there's parallels,
Yeah.
And little Tommy, now 5 years old, was about to receive the most confusing education of his life. When Barbara told the kids they could go play at the neighborhood pool, Tommy, his white sister, and white brother eagerly ran to join the other children. What happened next would scar him for years. The black kids beat them mercilessly, screaming "white cracker" and "white cracker lover," while pummeling them to the ground.
Were beating our ass. I was 5. My brother was like 9. My sister was my same age. We were twins, but she's blonde. And they were saying, white cracker, you're with the white cracker and you're a white cracker lover. Beat my ass so much.
Tommy ran home crying, asking his mother what white cracker meant. He genuinely thought they were talking about graham crackers. Barbara sat him down and delivered a truth bomb that would reshape his entire worldview.
And she said, that's what people your color call people our color when they don't like them. And I was like, well, what color am I? Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm brown, because I learned it from the crayon.
They're brown. You're beige. The family moved to the suburbs of Wheaton, Maryland, hoping for peace. Instead, Tommy encountered the flip side of racial hatred.
So then we moved to the suburbs of Wheaton, Maryland in '69. I was 6. And that's when I first heard the word because grown
white men chased him through the streets, yelling the N-word, throwing rocks through his family's windows. Tommy, barely 6 years old, ran home terrified, asking his mother who these N-words were that they needed to stay away from.
So I went to my mother. I was like, hey, who are these?
I cried laughing when I read it.
You know what I'm saying? like, we need to stay away from these.
Barbara, with tears in her eyes, delivered another devastating truth. That's what people our color call people your color when they don't like them. Tommy was trapped in the middle, too black for white people, too white for black people. The confusion, the violence, the constant rejection from both sides left him feeling like he belonged nowhere. But Barbara never stopped fighting for him. When Tommy's white sister could arrive late to school without consequences, while Tommy got detention every time, Barbara marched into the principal's office, who happened to be black, and demanded answers.
Every single time. So my mother said, I'm coming down there. She came down, she went to the principal's office. She said, why does my son have to go to detention and my daughter doesn't? They say, and my sister's name is Burl. Your daughter's Burl? Yeah, she said, but why does that matter? Why does that matter?
That principal had no good explanation. Barbara didn't hold back. My son and my daughter are both late. Why is only my son being punished? Because he's black? And you should be ashamed of yourself because you're black too. She pulled Tommy out of school that day and took him to a park. What she told him that afternoon would guide him for the rest of his life.
She said, your sister can be late all she wants and still get ahead, but you're black. And if you want to get ahead, you can't be late.
It's not fair, but it's reality. Tommy didn't want to accept it. But his mother was preparing him for a world that would judge him more harshly, give him fewer chances, and expect perfection just for him to be considered equal. As Tommy grew older, the challenges multiplied. Between ages 5 and 14, he was sexually abused by multiple men, strangers whose faces he's blocked from memory, but whose violations left permanent scars.
I don't really remember, like in detail, you know, but I do know that they came at me sexually, and it was more than one, and it was in more than one situation.
He witnessed his football coach get stabbed by his girlfriend. He saw a man shot dead in his apartment building lobby. By age 11, Tommy understood something most kids never grasp. Life could end at any moment.
What it did to my mind was it just let me know that you can be gone just like that. And I wasn't really aware of that. You know, when you're a kid watching the Charlie Brown.
Desperate to belong, Tommy dove headfirst into the streets. If black kids thought he wasn't black enough, he'd prove them wrong. By 14, he was shoplifting, selling weed, robbing people, doing everything his friends did. He carried a gun, held it for a friend, and thought he'd found his place in the world.
Well, actually, I was holding it for a friend of mine, but all of them had one but me, you know, because of the atmosphere I grew up in, you know. That's what it was about.
Were you getting shot at or involved in shootings yourself?
Until the night, a police officer shoved a pistol into his 14-year-old mouth.
You know, and so I got a big old lid of weed, you know, and he's got a gun, you know, and they catch me, and the gun goes in my mouth.
Tommy and his crew had broken into a moped shop. Cops swarmed. Tommy got caught. The officer, furious and aggressive, forced his gun barrel between Tommy's teeth while a police dog snarled inches from his face. Tommy genuinely thought he was going to die. For 2 seconds, he considered fighting back, breaking the cop's nose. But something stopped him. Maybe it was his mother's voice in his head, maybe it was survival instinct. Either way, he froze. That moment could have been the end of Tommy Davidson's story. Instead, it became a turning point. Barbara found drugs, money, cameras, and a gun under Tommy's bed. She didn't yell, she didn't lecture. She simply said, quote, "You can't live here anymore."
You know, finally she found stuff under my bed, gun, money, cameras, and all this stuff that I was stealing. Threw me out the house, said, "You cannot come back." And I was like, that's good. Now I can hang out. It wasn't as fun as I thought.
16-year-old Tommy moved in with a family friend, Big Bill, who ran community programs to keep kids off the streets. Tommy hated it at first. Too many chores, too many rules. But one night, after Tommy lied to police, telling them Big Bill was his father to avoid arrest, Big Bill said something that changed everything.
I want to go home. You know, I thought I had to clean up a lot. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm ready to get out of here. But the pivotal lesson came there, because that night with the gun and all that, I told them that was my dad.
He didn't yell. He didn't punish. He simply said, "Tommy, one day you're going to have to be responsible for your own actions." That was it. No lecture, no threats. Just a simple truth that gave Tommy the space to reflect. For the first time, he realized he had a choice. He didn't have to keep living this way. He could choose differently. Tommy went home. Barbara opened the door with the chain still latched and said, "You want to come back? Get a job."
She opened that daggone door. She was like, you want to come back in this house, you got to get a job. Boom. And close the door.
Tommy was 15. He lied on his application to IHOP, claiming he was 16, took a bus to Wheaton, Maryland, and got hired on the spot. He hasn't stopped working since. But Tommy's path to comedy wasn't straight. He wanted to be a singer. From age 8, he'd been performing with bands, singing with the passion of Stevie Wonder and the soul of Marvin Gaye. Music was his first love. Comedy? That was accidental.
I had grown men coming over and asking my mom, can he come and gig in our band?
Right.
So that was my thing. I was going to be a big music star.
Okay.
I didn't really like comedy that much. I liked Pryor.
In 1984, Tommy's childhood friend Howard saw something in him that Tommy didn't see in himself. Howard worked at the worst strip club in D.C., the Penthouse, where the bouncers wore shirts that said, "Please don't shoot them," and dancers performed with babies on their hips. Howard convinced the manager to give Tommy 5 minutes on stage.
Yeah, you got 5 minutes, right? So I looked at Howard. I said, "Howard, what am I supposed to do?" He said, "I don't care what you do, Nick."
From the very first joke, the audience erupted. Tommy had found his calling. Within a year, he was opening for Luther Vandross, Patti LaBelle, and Freddie Jackson. Within 3 years, he was in Los Angeles, grinding at every comedy club in the city, perfecting his craft. In 1990, everything changed. Keenan Ivory Wayans was casting a revolutionary new sketch comedy show called In Living Color. Tommy auditioned alongside 30 of the hottest comedians in the country: Martin Lawrence, Jim Carrey, Jamie Foxx, and David Alan Grier. Tommy bombed his audition. He knew it. The looks on their faces said it all. But Keenan saw something. Tommy's stand-up was undeniable. When In Living Color premiered on Fox, Tommy Davidson was part of a cast that would make television history.
My Michael Jackson potato head looked like he looked when he was with the Jackson 5, with a strong Afro-American nose and a big fro.
For 5 seasons, In Living Color dominated. Tommy's impressions of Sammy Davis Jr., Michael Jackson, and MC Hammer became legendary. His characters, like the drunk Puerto Rican cab driver and the hilarious Homie the Clown bits with Damon Wayans, had America dying with laughter every week.
If I had the cast right now, I'd be going for the knockout. Like I did against Marvin Hagley. He scared me. He looked like a giant milk dud.
But behind the scenes, tension was brewing. Tommy's relationship with Jamie Foxx grew increasingly strained. In his 2020 memoir, Living in Color, What's Funny About Me, Tommy revealed Jamie's mercilessly mean behavior on set, constantly making Tommy the butt of jokes to impress Keenan, trying to steal every scene, creating a competitive environment that felt more like warfare than collaboration. The breaking point came during a sketch where Tommy wore only a Speedo.
So I held him up, but then he tried to tear him. But, Speedos are made of like nylon or whatever.
Yeah.
So he really seriously tried to have me naked, man.
Jamie, in front of the entire cast and crew, grabbed Tommy's underwear and tried to rip them off. Tommy spun around, rage in his eyes, and whispered,
You know what I mean? So for 2 seconds, I turned around and I was like, I'll break your nose. You know what I mean? And then I was like, nah, but this would probably be history right here.
He didn't, but the damage was done. Their relationship never fully recovered. Years later, while filming Booty Call in 1997, the tension exploded again during a basketball game on set. They nearly came to blows. Tommy's issues weren't just with Jamie. When he ran into Spike Lee in Brooklyn after In Living Color parodied him, Spike wasn't amused. Tommy approached him excitedly, a fan meeting his hero. Spike's response? "I know who you are. I don't like that shit, those white writers of yours making fun of black people." Tommy was crushed. He'd grown up idolizing Spike Lee, auditioning for School Days, buying the 40 acres and a mule gear, and now his hero was dismissing him. Tommy almost kicked Spike in the back, a specific move he'd practiced in his street fighting days, but walked away instead. Years later, they reconciled. Tommy even appeared in Spike's Bamboozled, but the sting remained. Then there was Jennifer Lopez. Tommy had met J-Lo when she was a fly girl on In Living Color, before she became a global superstar. They'd been friendly, even hung out. But when Tommy saw her years later at the upfronts, excited to congratulate her success, she barely acknowledged him. "Hey, get some little carrot dip," she said dismissively, walking away. Tommy was stunned. He'd supported her, celebrated her, and now she couldn't be bothered. He never approached her again. Despite the drama, Tommy's film career flourished. In 1991, he starred opposite Halle Berry in Strictly Business, his first major film role. Diddy, then known as Puff Daddy, was Tommy's personal assistant on set, driving him around New York, showing him the clubs, introducing him to artists who weren't even signed yet. Puff even got into a fistfight with a union worker who disrespected Tommy. Tommy starred in Booty Call, 1997, Woo, 1998, with Jada Pinkett Smith, Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, 1995, with Jim Carrey, and Black Dynamite, 2009, the cult classic that spawned an animated series. He voiced Oscar Proud in Disney's The Proud Family for over 2 decades, a role he still plays in the Disney Plus revival, The Proud Family, Louder and Prouder. But Tommy's personal life was unraveling. During the filming of Woo, he received a phone call that shattered him. His adoptive mother, Barbara, had located his biological mother, Tommy Jean. The woman who'd abandoned him in the trash wanted to talk.
You just gonna call me on the set? Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? But she was about that. She was all about, that's who she was. She worked with Housing and Urban Development.
Tommy wasn't ready. Jada Pinkett Smith noticed something was wrong during filming and shut down production for the day, telling Tommy to go deal with it. When Tommy finally met his birth mother at a Milwaukee airport in 1998, surrounded by siblings he'd never known, the emotions were overwhelming. She looked like him. They had the same features, but she wasn't his mom. Barbara was his mom. It took years of therapy for Tommy to process the abandonment, the addiction that drove his birth mother to leave him for dead, the generational trauma that shaped her choices. Eventually, Tommy forgave her, not because what she did was okay, but because holding on to that anger was destroying him. While navigating that emotional minefield, Tommy was also battling his own demons. In the late 1990s, he developed a cocaine addiction that nearly killed him. He called that period being abducted by aliens in his memoir, a time when he ceased being who God intended him to be. Keenan Ivory Wayans and the In Living Color cast staged an intervention urging Tommy to get help. He entered rehab, got clean, and has remained sober for over 2 decades. Tommy credits his sobriety with saving not just his career, but his life. He easily could have ended up like John Belushi or Chris Farley. Instead, he chose survival. In 2006, Tommy's world shattered again when Barbara Davidson died of cancer. The woman who'd saved him from that trash pile, who'd fought for him against racist principles and defended him against a world that saw him as less than, was gone. Tommy has called being Barbara's son his greatest accomplishment. She taught him that love transcends race, that family isn't defined by biology, and that fighting for what's right matters more than staying comfortable.
My greatest accomplishment was being Barbara Davidson's youngest son, Tommy.
Wow.
Because that meant something.
Right.
My mother was the kind of woman that would we was on welfare.
Right.
Today, at 60 years old, Tommy Davidson is thriving. He married Amanda Moore in 2015, and together they have 2 children. Tommy has 6 kids total, and in 2023, at age 58, he welcomed his youngest child, proving he's not done creating legacy. His net worth sits at approximately $2 million, a figure that reflects steady work rather than blockbuster superstardom. But Tommy's wealth isn't measured in dollars, it's measured in impact. He continues touring as a stand-up comedian, selling out venues internationally. He's reprising his role as Barnell Hill in a new BET plus Martin spinoff. He's launched a music career, releasing the single Stronger with Earth, Wind & Fire. He voices Oscar Proud in The Proud Family, Louder and Prouder. And he appeared in the critically acclaimed film Outlaw Johnny Black alongside Michael Jai White.
Don't delay, send yours in right away.
Tommy Davidson's story is a masterclass in resilience. Abandoned in the trash, raised in a white family during peak racial tension, sexually abused, nearly killed by police, battled addiction, lost his mother, and yet he's still standing, still laughing, still creating. When asked about his legacy, Tommy doesn't talk about In Living Color or his film roles. He talks about his mother, about the woman who saw a brown baby in a pile of garbage and said, "This child deserves love." He talks about forgiveness, forgiving his birth mother, forgiving Jamie Foxx, forgiving a world that tried to break him. Because Tommy Davidson understands something most people never learn. Today is the last day you have until tomorrow. And if you waste it on anger, resentment, or hate, you've already lost the only battle that actually matters, the one for your own peace.